Hello again, this is Nikki Buckelew with the Seniors Real Estate Institute, and I am back to talk with you today about the 5 essential strategies for serving seniors, and we're going to be covering strategy number 3 today. And strategy number 3 is on familiarizing yourself with senior housing options. So I'm talking to you today as from one realtor to another, and I want to share with you the importance of this information going forward. I covered in video number 1 all of the demographics that make it clearly evident that the senior tsunami is here, that the demographic in our community, our local community, as well as our own database, is aging. And as people age, they're going to be looking for housing options that fit their lifestyle needs, their healthcare needs, and their social and safety needs as well. And sometimes we're going to be able to help those clients with finding something via the MLS, the multiple listing service. We're going to be able to help them purchase something or lease something via our normal real estate database. But then there are going to be those clients who, quite frankly, need something a little out of the mainstream real estate type property. And they're going to need something maybe like an independent living or an assisted living or a continuing care retirement community. And you can be the fiduciary agent for them to help them look at some of those options as they determine what's important for them in their next purchase or their next lease. So I appreciate the fact that you're here, which tells me that you're interested in knowing more about senior housing options and that you're taking the time to make that investment in your clients by learning this information. So I just want to appreciate you for that. When it comes to senior housing options, one of the things that I found was that many of my clients that are in their 80s, they're really kind of tired of owning. They don't want the responsibility anymore. They would really rather let someone else handle everything that goes along with being a homeowner. And frankly, can you blame them? Right? It can be difficult sometimes, both physically but also emotionally, to manage all the day-to-day tasks of a house. So here are some options that might be more appealing to some of our older adult clients. There are some rental options to think about that are available out there in the marketplace. You see them all over your communities, and hopefully you've visited a few. And if you haven't, take the time to do that. As a matter of fact, this would be a good place for me to mention that in one of our courses called the Success in Seniors Real Estate course, we go very deeply into how to do this effectively so that you have really great relationships with the people that run the community, the marketing reps, the sales counselors, and the people who truly are there to care for those seniors that live in those properties. Let's start with the independent living. Independent living is like a really nice apartment complex for seniors. The difference is there are services available. There are things for them that they may need that they won't get in just a normal apartment complex. They have meals available there on site. They have the ability to request health care services be brought in. Now, those aren't provided by the community, but they usually help make them available to them from a third-party vendor. There's also the safety fact. You know that all of the apartments are typically, the doors are located inside, and so in many cases it just has a safer feel. It's like being in a really nice hotel. Independent living facilities are no longer using the word facility, by the way, so I want to point that out. I've got in parentheses there ILF, which stands for Independent Living Facility. But interestingly enough, they're phasing that word facility out and using the word community, independent living community. Well, you and I both know it just sounds more appealing to say community than facility. Facility sounds so sterile and hospital-like. So be thinking about using the right terminology as you're talking with people about their options. Also, independent living communities are not typically licensed. So it's the going rate for the market, whatever the market will bear, is what the leases are typically going to be. So keep in mind that one community to another, the rates can vary significantly. Independent living, I think it's important to note, people can come and go as they please. It's truly their apartment. It's truly their cottage or whatever the case may be in that community, and they can come and go as they please with no questions asked. Assisted living communities are licensed. They offer a variety of different services for people who need a little bit of help, but they don't need 24-hour supervision. Maybe they just need some assistance with meal preparation. Maybe they need assistance with medication management and other activities of daily living. So with an assisted living community, someone can live there very independently with just a little support. Now, if someone gets to the place where they do need more health care support than an assisted living can provide, they would then probably want to move into a skilled care community. Now, obviously these are called a lot of things. You've seen them called rehab centers, you've seen them called nursing homes. The SNIF, or SNF, is the acronym for Skilled Nursing Facility. And the interesting thing about skilled nursing facility is, again, trying to eliminate that word facility and make it feel a little more homey than that by using the word community. Skilled nursing communities are usually open to people of all ages, adults of all ages, with very different degrees of assistance needed. They may be broken into wings, where you have a wing that is for someone with that is bedridden or that needs 24-hour care and supervision and monitoring. You may have other areas of the community that are for people who are there temporarily. Maybe they had a hip replacement and they're there for rehabilitation, and then they'll be moving home wherever home is. There are different things that are offered in skilled nursing communities, and so each one of them can be very different. They are licensed by the state, and so it's really important to make sure that when you're talking with people that they've checked on any kind of problems that they may have had and make sure that they've been remedied. Another type of community that you're seeing out there more and more is the memory care community. And memory care communities are for people who have been diagnosed with dementia. Alzheimer's is a form of dementia that you hear about a lot, but there are other forms of dementia as well. And so people who have problems with dementia can live in a memory care community. What's so important about a memory care community? Why is it different? Well, what they've found is that the more they can keep a routine and keep things normalized, where there's not a lot of variation in someone's daily schedule, it really helps them to live a better quality of life. They also have things like pets on site. So they may have dogs or cats or birds or all of the above, because it's really nice to have animals there. It helps people to feel better, and it helps people with dementia to function at a higher level. You'll also find that they are locked. So in order to gain access, you have to be buzzed in, and in order to leave, you have to enter a code or be buzzed out. That's for safety. So people who have a tendency to wander, they aren't able to wander. And so it's a very great safety feature. They're typically going to be staffed by a smaller staff, and it's going to be fewer beds in those communities so that they get a higher level of care, individualized care. You know, it's interesting to see how those have evolved over the years. If you've not visited a memory care community, I would encourage you to do so. I think it's worth doing, and it would definitely be something that when you're talking with a family member who is dealing with something like this, that you can really identify with them. Now, when we get into this conversation, this is a little different type of community called a continuing care retirement community. Again, I'm going to give you another word that I'd like for you to begin to eliminate out of your vocabulary, and that is retirement. Continuing Care Retirement Community is what the acronym is, CCRC, but you're going to find that many of them don't use the word retirement in their language. It's a continuing care community and or an adult, active adult community. What makes these significant? The significance of a continuing care community is that someone can move in as an independent person into the independent portion of the community, and if at any point they need more care, like assisted care or skilled care, sometimes even memory care, they have the ability to have that type of community right there on the same campus. And so they may have to change apartments or areas of the community, but they can still live right there in the same community. This is particularly important for people who have a spouse who may need additional care. So maybe one person can live independently and their spouse needs memory care. They can live in the same community, dine in the same dining room if they choose, take walks on the same paths in the same area, and participate in events together, but maybe the spouse needs additional care, so therefore they stay in an apartment in the memory care community while the other spouse lives in the independent. There are a lot of reasons that continuing care communities are a great source, a great housing source for people, and it's just a matter of what they're looking for. One of the main reasons that CCRCs have been so popular, and we've seen the numbers really increase, is there's something called a life care contract. And sometimes you'll hear these communities called life care communities, and they're just a form of continuing care communities. Life care basically allows someone to move in and secure the cost of their housing for the life that they live there. And so they can move in when they're independent, potentially younger, right? Move in, and then they move in, and then as they need more care, the expense does not go up as significantly as it would if they needed nursing care, having never lived in that community. So some people do it as a protective measure for financial reasons. Keep in mind that most communities have, a number of different continuing care communities within them, and each city, if you will, each city may have multiple continuing care communities, and they all can be very different. Different communities may have different types of contracts, and so it's important for people, if you're consulting with them about going to a continuing care community, that they visit multiple communities and find out which one not only best serves their personality, but also best serves their financial goals. And then let's go to a different topic, which is rental options. Now, these don't necessarily fall under what I would consider the aging services. These are just different types of options for seniors that are out there, and a lot of realtors aren't very familiar with them. One would be senior apartments. They're 55 and older apartments. They're basically like deed-restricted communities, but they're apartments and they're for lease. They oftentimes offer support on site for maintenance and things like that, but not a lot of things like an independent living community might, which would be meals and some additional staff support. There's also communities that are subsidized for seniors specifically. You might hear them called low income or Section 8 approved, and in which case those are not necessarily going to be a lot of glim and glamour, but they can be very nice, very well maintained. Some of them actually fall under religious organizations as well, and so they could be funded privately versus through federal or state funding or local funding. Some other options for senior housing would be the things that we see in our multiple listing service, like planned adult communities. You hear of Del Webb, Sun City communities, and there are other developers doing very similar things as Del Webb. There are 55 plus deed restricted communities in many communities, many cities across the country now. And then think about the options of townhomes and condos, garden homes and cottages, where the exterior maintenance is taken care of, but someone still benefits from the ability to own their home if they choose to. And then something else you're hearing a lot about these days is a mother-in-law apartment or mother-in-law suite. And I had a gentleman ask me one day, well, what about the father-in-law suite? And we laughed about that, so we'll call it an in-law suite just in case. But what we've found is oftentimes when women outlive their husbands and are living up into their 80s, 90s, and even into 100, they like to be closer to their family, but they don't necessarily want to live in the home with them. So a mother-in-law apartment, wherever it works, is a great option. Now, a lot of cities have restrictions that don't allow for these, but in some cities they're making exceptions so that families can have a separate residence, like a small trailer type residence or a small modular residence right there next to their home. So that's another option to be thinking about as well. I hope this has been helpful for you. I know we didn't cover in depth all of the different options, but that gives you a little bit of an overview so that you at least know what you're looking for when you go out there into your local community. Let us know if we can do anything to help you with this process. You can go to seniorsrealestateinstitute.com, that's our website, or catch up with us on Facebook at facebook.com/seniorsrealestateinstitute. If you're interested in learning more about specializing in seniors, You can definitely check with us about the Success in Seniors Real Estate course to see where the next live course will be offered in your area. Or there's a 7-session telecourse that you can also do online to earn the Seniors Housing Professional Certification. So this is Nikki Buckelew talking about the Big Five essential strategies for serving seniors. Today we talked about familiarizing yourself with senior housing options. We have 2 more videos coming: understanding complexities of moves involving older adults, and leveraging professional services to assist your senior clients. Don't forget about the other 2 videos we did before this one. Be aware of your local demographics and recognize motivations for late in life moves. Again, thank you for helping to serve seniors at a high level. It's agents like you that are going to make a major difference in the lives of many. Thanks again, and make it a great day.